I am a longtime Dragon Age mega fan, okay? Not a normal fan, mega fan. I would say BioWare has fundamentally altered my life with their games. I am a game developer by day. Like, my day job is I'm a video game lighting artist. I went to school for video game design, and I would say that is largely attributed to BioWare products. However, I am going into this totally blind. I haven't seen the gameplay video that's been out yet today. I'm going to be live reacting here, but I have a lot of concerns about this game. I am very nervous for many reasons that I'm going to outline in a bit, but I wanted to give some context that any criticisms or fears that I express in this video are not bad faith. Like, I, once again, am a historically huge fan of Dragon Age, okay? If you would have asked me before 2023 what my favorite game of all time is, okay, or was, I would have said Dragon Age Inquisition. This game changed me so much. When it came out, I was 14 years old, and it literally made me gay, okay? Like, the frogs that are gay because of the radioactive water or whatever, that's me with Dragon Age Inquisition. My real life girlfriend, I think, actually does resemble Josephine from Dragon Age Inquisition, because I romanced her when I was 14, and I was like, do I like women? It would take many years for me to accept this fact about myself, but Dragon Age is the game that really, like, did it. And it's not just that. I also just love the, like, tarot cards. I've been remaking the same tarot card of my Inquisitor for the last, like, 10 years as an actual test to see if my artistic ability, like, improving. I have, since the game came out, I purchased the collector's edition. You know, like, crazy stuff, like, not normal levels of stuff. I've been buying Dragon Age merch for years. I love that game, okay? But there was a game that came out in 2023 that kind of changed my perspective. And that game is, of course, Baldur's Gate 3. I, right now, firmly, okay, as of recording this, believe that Baldur's Gate 3 is the best game ever made, period. And probably will ever be made for another 10 years. And I'm gonna talk about why that game existing makes me more scared for Dragon Age. There's some other general concerns I have about it, just given that Dragon Age is a corporate product like most games are, and I know how EA thinks. I think I know that a lot of fans of EA games over the years have seen how some of those corporate influences have taken away from their experiences, like even Dragon Age Inquisition. My largest critiques of that game are, I'm sure, directly caused by, you know, some corporate sort of influence, you know, loot box culture, stuff like that. Like, EA as a company is really only interested, as far as I can tell, in live service games that they can peddle more stuff onto. That's been the case since 2012 when Mass Effect 3 came out and there was day one DLC. You know, even when Inquisition came out, I bought the, like, special edition day one with the Bog unicorn for $20. What a wasted time. I bought it anyway, so am I part of the problem? Yes. I'm gonna complain about this game probably, you know, this upcoming Dragon Age game, and yet, will I buy the collector's edition? Probably. Because of Baldur's Gate 3, the issues of Inquisition became really, really glaringly obvious to me. Because I played Baldur's Gate 3, right? I did a complete playthrough. I was, like, blown away, obviously, by this game. I was like, oh my god, this, like, redefines RPGs. And so, but then it made me think, I was like, well, what about Dragon Age? You know, that was a great game. I mean, I have played, I want to put this out there, Origins to Inquisition. I played them in order, in release order, okay? I didn't hop in with Inquisition and go back. No, I'm like an OG, I'm an OG player here. I loved Origins. 2 was okay. And then Inquisition obviously blew me away. But so after I played Baldur's Gate 3, it made me want to go back and play Inquisition. And honestly, to me right now, that game is unplayable because Baldur's Gate 3 has ruined me as a person, as a video game consumer, because of the standard that it holds itself at. Here's my number one concern. Here's what really scares me about this upcoming Dragon Age game. Maybe this gameplay, like, taste will actually make me less concerned, but my problem with Dragon Age as a series is the gameplay. Obviously, the story, the characters, the romances are what keeps the series going. That's what a lot of people are playing for. The choices matter, the world, the romance. Okay, these are basically dating sims. People play Baldur's Gate 3 also and make that joke like, wow, this dating sim has a really intense combat. But to me, what separates Baldur's Gate 3, and a reason why I could replay Baldur's Gate infinitely, right? Same story every time, really. But I could replay it infinitely. I have hundreds of hours already in that game because of the gameplay that Dragon Age as a series just fundamentally doesn't have to me. And you know, this is something that can change. I might be saying all this and then I watch the footage and I'm like, actually, you know what? They fixed it. But to me, it seems very fundamental that the Dragon Age series is like a cookie clicker. That's my problem. And a lot of people might argue with me like, oh no, it's way more intense than that. You have your different class specializations and your skill trees. Who are you kidding? I have to say, who are you kidding? You know, I'm a fan of these games, but these games essentially have played historically like, you know, cookie clicker, automatic, just like click, click, click until you hit 1, 2, 3, or you maybe throw a bomb and you wait for the, you know, it's not, there's no intense thought for me when I'm playing the Dragon Age. To me, the world itself is filler, especially Inquisition is filler. Origins less so. Inquisition was just hours of filler and slog. You know, oh, do you think I want to spend 50 hours in the hinterlands getting people 10 sheepskins? No, I don't have. Maybe, well, you know, when I was 14, I was willing to endure that, right? But as an adult with a job and a life, if I'm gonna spend hundreds of hours in a game, every single minute of that game needs to feel like it's worth it to me. And Baldur's Gate 3 achieves that. Every square inch of that game world feels very meticulously planned and deliberate. And the combat itself, to me, is like 4D chess compared to Baldur's Gate. Like, you put a button in front of a monkey or a rat and they just hit it over and over and they give you like a food pellet. That's what Dragon Age feels like to me when you actually play the game. And so Inquisition, even though that's a game that changed me, you know, it changed me as a person when it came out, I do not feel compelled to replay that game ever again. That's a game that if I wanted to replay it, I had to wait like a year in between. Otherwise, I get lost in the slog, man. It's too much. Baldur's Gate 3 is so infinitely replayable because each and every combat encounter has infinitely many solutions. And it is so fun to try all of the different combinations of races, classes, specializations, builds, the spells. Everything is so interesting. Like, the systems are so interesting to explore in a way that Dragon Age has never been for me. Okay, so that's why I'm scared. Does that make sense? Or is what I'm saying making sense? I feel like if you've played Dragon Age, and you've played any Dragon Age game, might I add, and Baldur's Gate, you'll see instantly what I'm talking about. And the problem is that I know that BioWare is capable of doing some sort of intense combat systems like that because Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are BioWare games, okay? The system that Baldur's Gate 3 is derived from is from BioWare. I mean, really, it's from D&D, right? It's not actually from BioWare, but it's about how the studio is interpreting a system that already exists. And the problem with Dragon Age is that the system that they're using is way too simplified to begin with. So they either have to expand it heavily to make it interesting, or they're screwed. That's what I think. And a lot of people might be like, oh, I prefer the simplified combat because the Baldur's Gate combat is just not, it's too difficult for me. And I understand that. But for me, if it's too simplified like that, especially in a game world filled with filler, I don't know how much I can tolerate, man. I'm obviously gonna play through the game no matter what they do. Whatever they hand me on a plate, whether it's a literal pile of dookie or a gourmet meal, I'm gonna eat it because there's something wrong with me in the head. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to enjoy it, especially after how much I love playing Baldur's Gate 3. There you go. You can tell me if you disagree with me or if, you know, I'm onto something here. That's fine. Like, this is a discourse for me. But anyway, I'm gonna stop complaining about my fear and we're gonna watch this gameplay. But one more thing I'm gonna add just initially, because I've seen like minor complaints and I've seen the trailers already that aren't the gameplay teaser, but people say that the art style is bad. I'm gonna go in with the perspective that I don't think that them stylizing is a bad thing, okay? We'll see. Maybe the gameplay will make me think otherwise, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna be pretty supportive of this gameplay. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you some of my snippets of reactions to this live. And I'm going to say that I'm not going to show the whole thing because I think it's a full 20 minutes of gameplay. I'll just show you the highlights. So go ahead and you should probably just watch it first yourself and then see if you agree with my reactions. Let's start off by saying Veilguard sounds worse than Dreadwolf. I have to put it out there.
We don't want to look conspicuous. Just get out of here nice and casual. Find Nevgalis and stop Solus.
Oh, so something makes me think that Solus is going to be the villain. I don't know what it is.
Come on, this way!
This is really giving the opening of Mass Effect 3. That's what it feels like.
You're safe now. Get inside and bar the doors quick as you can, okay?
Thank you, miss.
Is that Ali Hillis?
You alright?
Liara?
I've been doing what I can to help. The ritual must be weakening the veil. There are a lot of scared people out here.
Same old dialogue wheel.
We're good, but we need to move.
Agreed. Solus isn't waiting, neither can we.
Have you got my gear?
Right over there. Where's Nevgalis? Wasn't she at the meeting point?
That opening shot on the weapons literally is also how Inquisition starts. This is, so far it's giving, like how, the new Star Wars trilogy, the first movie was just a remake of A New Hope. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this so far. Will that be bad? I don't know. I like Inquisition and Mass Effect 3, but it's veering towards extremely similar.
Put up a barrier to block the way. More intruders!
Avenge our fallen brethren!
Avenge our fallen brethren! I love that line delivery. Also, just hitting the barrier once to collapse it, a little goofy.
We're sliding down.
No. This is feeling like The Witcher at this point. Even the sliding, come on. This is, I don't even know. It feels like with the hopping around and the swordplay and, evasive combat stuff, aiming, sliding. This was all revolutionary, I guess, for The Witcher, but it's 2024. Come on. Show me something that'll really wow me. Right now, I'm very underwhelmed. Okay, here's the part where my lighting artist tendencies come out, and I have to bring up that the lights that we see in this game are really nice. It's obvious that they've really pumped a lot into the lighting technology. That's what makes games largely look better over time, is that lighting technology gets better. But it's interesting to me how dark the darks get. Typically in lighting art, it's rule number one that you never really want to have a true black when you're seeing something, because it kind of takes away from all of that meticulous environment art and character art if you can't see most of it. And I'm noticing a lot of blacks here. And that just might be a YouTube issue, actually. But I feel the need to bring up that I have a sneaking suspicion that the actual game will be a little bit brighter than what we're seeing right now. Because this feels like a not 100% one-to-one reflection of how it's going to actually render while you're playing it. But I will say that the lights that we're seeing that are actually lit, they do look really good and modern and nice. So kudos for that one. Am I insane, or are these now 3 companions in your party? It was announced that you only get 2 companions, which to me sounded insane, because then you would just have your romance and then a third wheel. But it looks like we have 4 people here. So I wonder if what they're gonna do is I saw this on Twitter, some people speculating if it was gonna be a Kingdom Hearts style, you have a local companion who's somebody that you know or somebody story related, and then your 2 others that you bring, and then obviously your player character. If they do that, that's swag. But if it's really mostly only 2, that sucks. Especially because in this game there's only 3 classes, right? And so if you want to be balanced, and you are a mage, but your romance companion ends up being a mage, then you're screwed, because then what are you supposed to do? As an example, right? So let's see if that was false or not the full image, that two-party only sort of situation. Let's move on.
We have to stop this demon quickly.
Pride demon during June? Okay, BioWare. Wait, I feel like I was making a joke over, like, an important thing. Hold on, did they say... The ability wheel is used to issue commands and direct your companions. Oh, so we can't switch to them? This is giving Mass Effect. This is the Mass Effect system. I hold comment.
Tell him another option to help him justify changing his mind.
This is a mistake. Or, you can do it. That's funny.
Come on, Varric. We didn't come all this way just to talk to him.
He was my friend, Brooke. I gotta try to reach him. But if he won't listen to me, then he'll hear from...
You know, the facial animations are a little exaggerated, that's fine. I actually really like this sort of dreamy, bloomy, like, greasy look on games. I think it looks nice. A lot of people might disagree and argue that they want something that looks crispier, but this kind of ethereal looking smudge, I think really fits the context, personally. So, +1 for that. But, I don't know, the mouth is just doing too much.
Bianca. Please.
Bianca! What?
People are always dying. It is what they do.
He sounds different. Scratchier.
Shit.
Stand your hesitance. Whatever now must be done.
It does not sound like the same. I'm like 100% convinced that's not the same voice actor for Solus. If it is, he's aged and smoked cigarettes, but I don't think it's him. I remember Solus having that very soft
Why
voice.
tear down the veil, knowing all the lives it'll cost?
We shared a journey years ago. Do you believe that I would do this if there was some other better option?
The pillar's weak, but
It isn't falling. We need to push it.
I'm with you.
Together, now! You came a long way and made a valiant effort, Varric, but this story does not end with my downfall.
No, I guess it is him.
Push!
I guess. I don't know. That one about how I kind of expected it to. I'm actually a little surprised at how witchery that gameplay felt. As I feared, they didn't really, as far as I can tell, push the formula in any way. Some might be like, oh, well, it's interesting that, you know, now you can do the party commands like Mass Effect and stuff like that. And I gotta be honest with you, I like the gameplay of Mass Effect a lot more than of Dragon Age, but that's because that's a shooting game, you know what I'm saying? I find that the simplification of RPG mechanics for me makes things less interesting almost every time. Like, the difference between Skyrim and Morrowind gameplay is, you know, decades apart, literally, but also in terms of how they feel. I always prefer when a studio does not try to make me seem like the dumbest person alive by simplifying their gameplay. Once again, what I love about Baldur's Gate 3 is that, you know, there's a lot of agency in me as a player and my choices, and in Dragon Age, it's giving, like, EA's like, you need to make this as playable for a 5-year-old as it is for a 60-year-old. And to me, that kind of cheapens everything, because it should just be, it should be complicated, it should be interesting, it should be compelling. If I'm gonna have to sit there and jump around and hit the same button over and over again for 100 hours, which is what it looks like I'm gonna have to do, I'm not gonna want to replay this game. However, Will I play this game? Yes. I'm actually excited for the plot. I mean, that's the interesting bit, right? I've heard that you are going to be able to make your Inquisitor in the character creator in game when you're like making your Rook character. I think that's what their name is, which is what makes my pussy throb about these games, is that, you know, you get to see them years later, technologically a decade later, you get to see how they're reinterpreted for this game, and that's going to be the most interesting. Not just getting to know the companions of this game, I'm sure that'll be great as well, but getting to see all your old faves show up and help with the new issue is going to be the best part for me. The problem is that I'm going to have to slog through hours of button mashing and hopping around in order to get those moments. So I'm sure I'll do it once, and then if it's really good, I'll do it again a year later, and then that'll be it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the art looks great. I already said my piece about the lighting, which is the most important part of any game usually visually. I mean, the characters look great. It looks great to me. I don't see what the issues are. Some people are like, oh, it looks too cartoony, I guess. I have to say, visual fidelity long term for something that is trying to be realistic is always going to look worse than a game that's more stylized. Mario looks good today because it's so cartoonish. Dragon Age Inquisition looks not so good today because it's slightly more realistic. So them choosing a style that enables an artist to be more free is always going to be a good thing. Because think about it like this. When you're going for realism, what you're holding yourself is to the standard of, does it look real? And the problem with that is that you're still interpreting it artistically, right? And so there's a lot of error when you're trying to make something look real. Often for games, it just ends up looking uncanny. Whereas a stylized is to the standard of an artist and an artist's eye. And so then an artist can much more easily replicate or meet the standard of what looks good to the artist than what looks good to the human eye's perception of real life. Does that make sense? So long term, making stylized choices will always be the right choice in video games, in any sort of media generally. That's what I think. We'll see what the consumer thinks, because clearly EA thinks about the consumer, and that's why they keep simplifying their combat, which sucks. But I also do have to bring up, though, that another thing that really soured this whole thing for me was knowing that so many of the people who worked on Inquisition in the previous games were laid off. You know, Mary Kirby was a writer who was really big in Inquisition. She was laid off. Can you believe that? And so I know that in some ways it's missing a little bit, probably, of that same voice, which is, you know, it's okay to have a new generation of artists go in and see how they interpret the franchise. That's okay, but it still saddens me that that kind of stuff is in the shadow of this game's production. Will I hold it against the game when I'm actually buying it? No. Or when I'm playing it? No. I'm gonna judge it for what it is, not for what it's lost. But, you know, these sorts of things make this experience bittersweet for me, you know, and playing Baldur's Gate especially, I have to keep bringing it up. But not just Baldur's Gate, I've played like every Western RPG, okay? I want you to understand that. Like every major Western RPG I have played, that's my genre of choice. I love all these games. And I know, like I've played all the Witcher games too, that's why I bring it up, because I can't help but see that sort of combat in what we're seeing here. It might be different if they showed us mage gameplay. I have a feeling not. I have a feeling it's always gonna be click, 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 and then, oh, quick, let's add a little hotbar spell or whatever. You know, it's just not interesting to me. And this has not convinced me otherwise. And I'm sure it won't be otherwise. So I am certain that a lot of people who are really diehard about this game are going to be a little bit mad that I keep comparing it to other games, even though I haven't played it yet. But I have to say my piece, and my piece is that, you know, I love Dragon Age so much as well. I've invested so much into the franchise. It's changed me fundamentally as an artist, as a person, and yet I can still observe flaws in how it is and how it has been. So maybe the game will prove me wrong. I'm sure I will have eventually a bunch of content on this channel about Dragon Age, about me playing it. But until then, I am racked with fear. You know, I'm hoping this is the game that revitalizes BioWare, you know? Because it's been a long time since they've had a hit, and I think that's for a reason. But we'll see if this is the game that does it, that fixes them right up, and then everybody's honky-dory and we're happy again. But, you know, after really a decade now, since Inquisition, they have not managed to achieve that spark that a lot of players are after with their games. I think it's only fair to be dubious, you know, to be a little worried about how this one's gonna go. So, yeah, I don't know. Those are my reactions. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I'm happy to have, you know, productive adult discourse about this. If you want to tell me, no, actually the simplified combat's really helpful for me as a player, stuff like that, I'm so receptive to hearing that. I'm just saying what I think after experiencing a wide breadth of games, what I like from certain ones. So a lot of yapping here, but I'm still excited for it. You know, I'm still like losing sleep thinking about, oh man, it's gonna be so cool to make my Inquisitor and explore this new aspect of the world. So I'm excited, and stay tuned for more, I guess.